Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves 21st century commentary. Frank, how are you today?
In love with 21st century commentary. That's what I am.
You do love the talk show, don't you? One would argue because of the podcasting. Like, talk shows are actually kind of your thing, if you think about it.
I mean, talk shows are very much my thing, yes. And you said
the
talk
being
show.
friendly, big beards, and talk shows.
Oh,
those
yeah,
are your
even
things.
no beard, you know. You said the
Yeah.
talk show, and that's the name of an actual podcast I listen to. So I was like, how do you know John Gruber? But alas.
Wow,
no.
that was on brand then. I was kind of making a joke, but then I actually got right into the heart of it.
You were not wrong.
Nope.
How are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, Frank. I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Good.
I'm drinking a good beer. We're going to have a good conversation today, and I am excited. And I got to see you like a week ago, which was fun.
Yeah.
We saw each other like twice in the last couple weeks, which is great.
That's the beauty of the summer, isn't it?
It's great.
I have the ability to drive places. You have the ability to drive places.
It's wonderful.
We should do that one more time before the summer's over.
I agree. I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Good.
down with that.
Excellent. Now, Frank, you're drinking a beer. What is that beer that you're drinking?
I am drinking a beer. Thank you for asking. I'm drinking a new one for me. It is a New Belgium passion fruit Kölsch.
Oh, all those things sound so good.
Right? So, like, New Belgium, the
love
makers of
Kölsch.
Fat Tire, right? And Voodoo Ranger. And they have a series called their Up Next series, which I guess is like new experimental brews is what I'm sort of gathering from that. So it's a Kölsch, so it's lighter. It's only 4.3% ABV, but Kölsch style ale with passion fruit and natural passion fruit flavor. And I actually really like this. I got it in a variety pack of a bunch of their Up Next series stuff, and yeah, it's light and a little fruity, obviously, but it's still got that Kölsch, that malty Kölsch taste. So I like it a lot. It's very interesting. It's not something I would normally pick up, but in a 12-pack with a bunch of other things, it's super, super cool.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. I am drinking, also a new one for me, actually. I am drinking Clown Shoes Clementine White Ale.
I know that one. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. I kind of picked that up on a whim. I was driving. I was driving through the liquor store one day, and I was walking through the liquor store, and I just could not figure out what I felt like. I just, you walk through and you're like, that sounds good. That's too heavy. That can is cool, but not what I'm looking for. Whatever. And then I just landed on Clementine Clown Shoes, which is great because I was reading a book about Winston Churchill at the time that I picked it up, and his wife's name was Clementine. So I was like, great, doing it, getting this beer, and it is delicious.
Yeah.
It's a Belgian, and it's kind of it's it's Clementine, so it's mostly citrus.
Sure,
but it's kind of peppery. It's crisp, and it's good. It's a little heavier than I really wanted it to be, but Belgians generally always are just slightly heavy. So they're like a heavy light beer, but it's a 6% and it is delicious. Would recommend.
Nice. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I like. I know you're not the biggest fan of IPAs, but if you ever see Clown Shoes Space Cake IPA,
that's the one I almost got too.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Yeah.
It was 90 degrees outside, and that's no time to be drinking an IPA.
I hear you on that for sure.
Yeah. Frank, I'm here today to talk to you. In fact, I may be here today to hit you, but not really because we're at a distance. But we have not done this a while, so I think it's time that I hit you with my best shot.
Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot?
And today we're going to be talking about two. This might be actually a first for Hit Me With Your Best Shot. We're going to be talking The Boys on Amazon Prime, and we're going to be talking Pennyworth on Epix. Two shows that I happened to try out because I wanted to watch them. And I'm here to tell you that you should watch both of them because we're friends and I would never lead you astray. Is that correct?
I do. Yes, I do agree that we are friends, and I do agree that you would never knowingly lead me astray.
Right. Knowingly.
Knowingly.
That's true. Yes. I mean, there's always exceptions to every rule. What would you like
Lake
me
Placid.
to talk about first? Lake Placid. You liked it, and you knew it wasn't going to be good going into it.
I know, yeah.
And it had Betty
It's okay.
White.
From the podcaster who brought you Xanadu, right? Like, who am I to cast the first stone?
You know, I was watching, speaking of Xanadu, though, I was watching a Gene Kelly movie for Academy Rewind not too long ago, and like every time he came on screen, all I could think about him was playing clarinet on the beach. And I was like, damn it, Frank, you ruined Gene Kelly.
From the podcaster who ruined Gene Kelly.
Kelly. Oh, jeez. The man could do anything, and now he plays clarinet on the beach. What a guy. What a guy. I read a great interview with Gene Kelly recently in a book called Conversations with the Great Movie Makers of Hollywood's Golden Age. It's an interview book from American Film Institute. You can read interviews with, actors, directors, cinematographers, screenwriters, and he's got a great interview in there. Would recommend. Yes, indeed. So anyway, Frank, would you like me to talk about The Boys first or Pennyworth? The Boys, I've watched almost 4 episodes. Pennyworth, I've watched the first episode. Though, if you have Amazon Prime or Apple TV, you can watch the first 3 episodes for free.
Ooh, that's good to know. I want to hear about The Boys because I know less about it.
Okay.
And I have
The
preconceived
Boys.
notions about Pennyworth. But tell me about The Boys.
Okay. I can tell you about The Boys right now.
The boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town. The Boys is based off of a comic series, a limited comic series. It is since wrapped. So it's not like, is the show going to end differently than the comic series? We'll find out. The Boys was a Dynamite series. Also, it was good. And
Hey.
The Boys was a Dynamite publication series from Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis of Preacher, of The Punisher, of other things that Garth Ennis has done that is escaping me right now.
Didn't he run an Iron Man? Am I making that up? Garth
No,
Ennis?
that was Warren Ellis.
Yeah,
I think.
maybe that's what I'm getting confused.
Maybe Garth Ennis did
I know both of their names separately, and I never connected until right now that there's an Ennis and an Ellis, but maybe that's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
I'm not sure, but it's a great question, Frank. I'm not going to look it up. Not going to use my one
not
lookup
worth
for
it.
that. Nope. So The Boys, do you know you don't know anything what it's about?
They're back
anything?
in town.
They are back in town. Actually, they are, which is hilarious. So,
Do they use that song anywhere in the series so far?
Yeah. They definitely have. Yeah. So here's I didn't know anything about it. I saw the trailer for Amazon, and I was like, wow, that looks intriguing. Maybe I'll watch that one day. Because I know the comic is supposed to be extremely brutal. Like really violently graphic. And so I have been reading it kind of as I've been watching the show. Like I'm kind of reading behind so I don't spoil anything for myself. It is violent. It's not as violent as I expected it to be. It's like raw, but nothing that as a 32-year-old adult like movie, comic, TV watcher, reader, it's nothing you haven't seen.
Sure.
Right now anyway.
Right now. Didn't offend your gentle sensibilities.
No, if I was 16, yeah, this would have been like maybe a little too eye-opening. But now it's a thing. But it definitely is not your daddy superheroes. And I think and this is the point. So I've been kind of saying it's Watchmen for the 21st century. This is kind of where I've put it. If Alan Moore was instead of it being 1985, we say like, okay, what's happening in the world now? What's the reaction to superheroes? What's happening? And so the basic premise of the world is that superheroes work for a company. Okay. And so they are franchised beings. So there's the super team group called the Seven, and they are kind of like your archetypal heroes. You have Homelander, who's the Captain America, Superman stand-in. Black Noir is your Batman. Princess Queen Maeve is your Wonder Woman.
Okay.
The Deep is your Aquaman.
Okay.
A-Train is your Flash, so on and so on.
So there's one of each sort of superhero archetype.
There's your
stereotype.
avatar.
Yeah, avatars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
There's your avatar for your classic superhero, because you, as a reader, as a superhero reader, know what those characters are supposed to stand for.
Of course, right.
And so you know that Superman stands for truth, justice, and the American way, and Batman stands for dark and brooding justice, and so on and so on and so on. So what the story is that the company that kind of runs these superheroes, I mean, they do go out and save people. That is, like, they are superheroes. They go and they save, and the world loves them, and blah blah blah, and they are merchandised at the same time. So it's like, here's your social media account, and here, how many tweets do you have? And you have a full 1% of the Homelander has a full 1% of the profits on his merchandising, but the Deep only has 0.75. And now, how are we going to deal with, like that? Well, he's like, well, I'm more popular.
So it's almost like Hollywood, like where different actors get different deals if they have a better agent or they're a bigger star. Like, they're worth more. They get more of the merchandising.
That's right.
Based on who, Alec Guinness got 6% of Star Wars, somehow, but like Mark Hamill has like nothing.
Right, he has the Star Wars toys, which equals quite a lot. But but that's exactly right. It's where the Jack Nicholson got like 10% of the gross of Batman '89 or something stupid like that.
And every time they say Jack Napier, he gets a nickel. Yeah,
right, exactly. They just flick it at him.
Yeah.
On the street.
He's looking at you, kid.
Jackie boy.
Yeah. So, you want it? Go get it.
Go get it. Street smarts. So, what do you call it? So anyway, so that's kind of like the setup of the show. That's the world that they live in. So you follow two different stories in the show. One is this kid named Huey, whose father is played by Simon Pegg, which is great. And which it was good. So the character in the comic was drawn to look like Simon Pegg.
Yep. Okay.
And now so now they have Simon Pegg playing his dad.
That's so
great.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty fun. And so this guy Huey is like a nothing special type of just a regular Joe, and the speedster of the Seven of the super team, was it Defenders of Justice, Avenging the Innocent, or something like that? That's the
wow. Just work them both in there. Let's just work both things in.
That's right. It works everything. It's neither a hit on DC nor Marvel. It is a smattering of everybody.
Nice.
Of the archetype. So anyway, the speedster runs through his girlfriend and kills her as she's standing on the street.
Ugh.
He's like holding her hand, and he's like, blah blah blah, don't besmirch Billy Joel. And the next thing you know is that all that's left is her hands, because he was holding on to them. And like, I'm telling you, it is visceral and violent and everything. And so he gets kind of tapped on the shoulder by the boys, who are the anti-superhero group funded by the CEI or by the America. It's like you can't let the superheroes do too much on their own, because the company controls them, and the company is trying to get them in the army at the same time. But what's to stop, say, Homelander from going over to the Middle East and decimating a town, and who's going to stop him? But now it's in the name of the American government. And so this group, the boys, are kind of set up to infiltrate, stop whatever their overarching goal is. And Huey is your eyes on the, your everyman, your eyes on the street kind of guy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think
Yeah.
I follow. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm trying to tell you to watch it without giving too much away, but I'm enjoying it because it's not a middle finger to superheroes, but it's a commentary, like Watchmen is a commentary.
Yeah.
You know, here are your archetypal superheroes. What would happen if they were really set loose? But instead of it being a world of, say, vigilantes, it's a world of publicly endorsed superheroes. It's the next stage after. It's the next stage.
It's like if the Sokovia Accords like worked out.
Basically,
Right? Like they all registered. They're all, are they like regulated?
Yeah, they're regulated by this company.
Yeah.
They're regulated by this company.
So like the government outsourced it to a company?
No, so the company, like, so superheroes are doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And the company kind of takes them in and offers them a salary to be a superhero.
Okay.
And so the other story that you follow is this girl named Annie who has just joined the Seven. You know, Lamplighter is no longer on the team.
Okay.
Green Lantern.
Yep.
You know, right? And so is no longer on the team. And Starlight has auditioned and joined the team. And so her story is like, oh, you know, like, you're doing great with the, you know, conservative, you know, Bible Belt Christians, but how about, like, but we got to hit this corner over here with your 18 to 49-year-old, like, blue Democrat, this, and you got to play this, and here's your new outfit that's very revealing, and here's this and this and this and this and this. It's almost like watching A Star is Born, but with superheroes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Like that side of it. But it's she sees what is the very seedy underbelly of the Seven and the company and all this stuff. And you mentioned Hollywood, but it isn't kind of like that. You know, like, it's not just the glitz and the glam of the red carpet, but actually what's happening behind Harvey Weinstein's door.
Right.
That kind of thing. But what if Harvey Weinstein had the powers of Superman?
Right. So does it get that dark, like, to that level?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's absolutely that dark. Mm-hmm.
And are they, you said they're not vigilantes, are at least some of them, are they actually, like, super powered in that they're
all super powered.
Okay, so they're not, it's not like, well, but like the Batman guy, is he like a vigilante like Batman is? Where he's not super powered, but he's dark and brooding, but honestly, I don't think he's even said two words yet on screen. What's interesting is that the superheroes in the show, we are only given their superhero code names. So, like, you follow Homelander and Queen Maeve or whatever, but I couldn't tell you what their real names are. You never see them out of costume. That's interesting. Okay.
And so they are just as a part of the show, they are not normal. They are superheroes and the like.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah. And then in some ways it explores some of their psychology. So, like, the Deep goes to he's like the Aquaman character, and he goes to counseling sessions because the other members of the Seven make fun of him because he can talk to fish and stuff like that. And so there's, like, it has this dark comedy to it at the same time, because I wouldn't, even though the show is bleak and adult and all this stuff, I wouldn't necessarily call it depressing the way that I would call Watchmen depressing. You know, like, Watchmen is a story that is here to bum you out. And The Boys is it's like weirdly fun despite its really heavy themes, which I think is what makes it so watchable.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I would say try the first episode and you'll know if it's for you or not.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, like, what other than being a commentary on superheroes, what else is it a commentary on? Like, is it commenting on, you know, real life things, like corporate influence, like for example, Orange is the New Black. I don't know if you've checked that out on Netflix, but I've been watching it since it came out.
Prison scares me.
Yeah,
so, no,
it's interesting for a number of reasons, for a wide variety of reasons I could talk about. But one of the things that I find most interesting is how thought-provoking it is in terms of how like the prison system works. It's a commentary on that and how there's too much corporate involvement in prisons and what that does. Are there things
yes.
like that in this show?
I would say it's so if you put the superhero bit aside, you're also now the show is a commentary on social media consumption, corporate influence over the masses and within its own company, corporate influence over the government. I would say it's a bit of maybe corporate business espionage at the same time.
Okay.
It's a little bit like let's say commenting on the other side of city life, like what's the underbelly of an urban life look like. It's not just it's not just the glitz and the glam, but what do people really do with their downtime? And I think it's also a show about loss, acceptance, who are you? Because this guy, Huey, is basically like his girlfriend gets killed by a superhero who doesn't even say sorry. He gets, they come with a contract and they're like, here's $45,000 to keep your mouth shut.
Oh, wow. So it's like Brazil, too. Huh.
Yeah. So it's about it. And his dad's like, it is terrible what's happened, but also we're poor. So
take the money and shut up.
So take the money and shut up. And so it's about what's right and what's wrong, and what's the limit of you deciding where is your moral line. And that's what Huey has to decide.
I find that stuff really compelling. That's really that sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm interested in that. The same way we've talked about this with lots of stories, but like some of the best stories, some of the best superhero stories, comic book stories, are at their best when you can strip away and say like, okay, yeah, we're using people in costumes to tell the story, but like it really is a story about families, or it's a story about crime, or it's a story about whatever. Like I like it when they're being when the superhero characters are used as a storytelling device, just as much as I like when it's all about like, yeah, Superman, punch him. Like I really enjoy a good when it's done really, really well. And this sounds like that. This sounds like something that I'd be into.
This one you're going to get less of like, yeah, Superman punched a robot,
right?
Because this is really more about, we always talk about how our favorite comics are like where superheroes are sitting down at a table having a conversation.
Yep.
That's basically what this show is, except that it's not just like, hey, Clark, how's the wife? It's more like, hey, Homelander, how are your 7 mistresses that your wife doesn't know about?
Right.
Like that kind of thing. So I definitely watch the first episode. There are only 8 episodes in the first season, so it's an easy binge. But that first one kind of has everything in it, and so if you watch it and go, nope, this offends me too much, or if you're like, oh no, this is what I'm here for, I like it because it's not a dig on, say, like Superman, or a dig on Batman or Wonder Woman or Iron Man or Captain America or Spider-Man or anything like that. It's just a more, it's a less golden age approach to what superheroism would look like today.
Sure.
And then as a normal person, what do you do about that? Because it could affect you or it could not affect you, but if it does in a deep way, what are you supposed to do about it?
Okay. This sounds very interesting. This is a good pitch.
It's really not what I thought The Boys was about at all. So when I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is what I'm watching. This is so much better. I just thought it was like, yeah, we're gonna get you. We're the bad guys and you're the good guys and everyone loves sex and stuff. Like, but it's so much more than that.
All right, interesting.
Cool. So let me move on to Pennyworth.
Yes.
I've only watched the first. I only watched the first episode, even though the 3 are available Apple TV or Amazon Prime. It's from the creators of Gotham, which I know you weren't a big fan of, and I loved Gotham.
I watched the first season. I think I maybe
which is not good.
Started season 2. I don't remember, but I did lose interest. Yes.
Yeah, season 1 was not good. Would not recommend. Skip right to 2. It's kind of like watching The Office or Parks and Rec. Like you could skip the first season.
Yeah.
It's fine. You just read the Wikipedia article. It's fine. You'll catch up. You'll catch up real fast. The first episode of Pennyworth was excellent. It's technically set in the Gotham universe, but it doesn't. It's not macabre like Gotham is. It doesn't feel the same. It's not like this is a weird world where people wear fedoras and also have cell phones, but their cars are no older than 1987. Something like that. This is firmly set in the 1960s. It looks like it's set in the 1960s, maybe just like a little heightened version of the 60s, like slightly more comic book-esque version, but nothing crazy. My pitch for the show is, if it's a spy espionage show, it has nothing to do with Batman at all. And so whereas Gotham was like, okay, where's the Batman stuff? I'm in Gotham.
Sure.
This actually benefits from, oh, that's Alfred, and oh, sure, that's Thomas Wayne, but it doesn't matter what their names are, because I watched one episode of a very intriguing 60s espionage spy thriller.
Okay.
And without the James Bond gadgets.
Okay, I was going to ask, is it Bond? Is it Man from U.N.C.L.E.? Is it Get Smart? Or like what, not Get Smart, it's not funny, but.
No, Get Smart's great. But no, I wouldn't call it, I would maybe call it like Daniel Craig. I would call it maybe Casino Royale, type of, like, where like the only like gadget he has in Casino Royale is the GPS tracker on his phone.
Okay. Yep.
And even that Alfred doesn't have in this. He's just a guy who is suffering from PTSD after serving in the war, and he's kind of working as a bouncer and starting a security firm, and he kind of accidentally gets wrapped up into this larger plot concerning British politics and government. And so the guy who plays Alfred is playing it like a younger Michael Caine. And so the way I thought he was, though, from the trailers and stuff, he sounds a little more posh than he is, like maybe more classic Alfred. But he's definitely more of the down and dirty Alfred of the modern era. And everybody really sells it. The cast is great, and it's fun and breezy, and maybe a little bit more complex than Gotham ever was.
You said fun and breezy.
Yeah,
that is not the impression the trailer gave me at all.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah,
really,
it's real fun. Yeah,
is it
I wouldn't call it fun in the way that, say, like I don't know, the MCU is fun. I guess
sure.
You know what I mean. I would maybe call it fun. I'm trying to think of an equivalent. I guess in the way that maybe modern Bond is fun.
Okay. That's good.
something like that, where it's like there's kind of a wink, but it also takes itself a little seriously.
Takes itself seriously enough to sell it.
Seriously enough to sell it, but also like it's like slightly absurd enough for you to like, a guy at one point walks down the street wearing a big cape with like a fur collar.
Okay.
And he's in a suit, and you're just like, okay, so he's wearing a cape. So it's 1965 Britain or whatever.
Right,
like
right.
it's fine. Don't worry about it. The Beatles haven't arrived yet.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the swinging 60s. That's what people did, I guess.
So that's interesting, because the trailer really made it look very dark and brooding, and kind of like, I'll be honest, watching the trailer, I've been seeing the trailer, I think, on Hulu a lot, and I'm sort of like, I don't really have any interest in like a dark, gritty reboot of Alfred. Like, I don't really, that's not a thing that I needed, and I'm fine without it. I'll pass. But if it's fun, like, are there moments of humor? Even if it's not a funny show, you wouldn't call it a comedy. But there are moments of humor. Like,
there are moments of humor, and Alfred himself is quite charming, and so Alfred himself is quite charming, and so you can almost I think the show's strength is, so if you are a Batman fan or something like that, you can kind of see like, oh, this is where Alfred would be helpful to Batman at this moment. Like, you can see the seeds of like, oh, I see. This is you being an actor, or you like knowing how to throw down and things like that. Your sense of moral uprightness, because you figure if Bruce's parents died when he was a kid, his sense of morality still gets infused somewhere, and it has to be from Alfred more than anybody else.
That's like the thesis of the show, is that you're seeing all the things that Alfred later instilled in Bruce as his surrogate parent.
That's right. But because Thomas and Martha Wayne are also in the show, that's kind of like their genesis, how they met. They kind of retooled Thomas Wayne to be he's a financial analyst, and so instead of a doctor, and so he's like, people are after him because he discovered out this plot by accident, this conspiracy, and so that's kind of how Alfred gets wrapped up into it. But so now you look at Thomas Wayne, who's kind of weedy, I guess, in his own way, but he's the detective side of Bruce.
Okay.
So you could be like, oh, so Bruce is like this is the bit that he gets from his dad, and the like get up and go, like screw everybody else, is what he gets from Martha, because that's who she is.
I see. Okay.
And so when you put kind of the three of them together, you get that character that you would recognize. You can kind of see like, oh, this he gets from his dad, this he gets from his adoptive father, and this he gets from his mom.
Mm-hmm.
But the show isn't like, there's no bat references in here. There's no like, oh, did you see a creepy man with a white face or anything like that?
That was my next question. Do they do
there's
that kind
literally
of wink and nod stuff?
Nothing. If you didn't know that Batman's dad's name was Thomas Wayne, and that he had a button named Alfred Pennyworth, you would think you just watched a show about 60s like British espionage.
Okay.
Like that's all it is. And I think that's why I said I think that's where the strength is, because even if you're not a comic fan, watch a show that's like about the swinging 60s and like governmental conspiracies involving, lords and ladies and queens, and it's just secret passageways and like secret societies, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I'm trying to think. There's a comic, and I can't remember the name. I think now's the time I'm going to use a lookup.
See, you saved it so you could use it at the right moment strategically. I respect this about you. I mean, you're not talking about Batman Year One.
Nope, I'm not talking about a Batman comic at all. Oh, well, I'll be dang. No, so Ed Brubaker,
sure
the acclaimed creator of the wonderful Captain America run that the Winter Soldier's based off of, things like that. Ed Brubaker had I think it was an Image series called Velvet.
Okay,
which was basically what if Moneypenny was more badass than everybody else at MI6, kind of thing, and she was actually, she was a great spy, but she got like injured in the field or whatever, so she became this assistant so she could stay in. But anyway, I would recommend Velvet to anybody who's interested in reading a comic book about 60s spy espionage in 1960s Britain.
Got it.
But I would especially recommend it if you are if Pennyworth also kind of tweaks your appetite, because that's kind of what it feels. That's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, but I don't know how many. Actually, don't know how many episodes the first season of Pennyworth is, but I know you like James Bond.
Yes,
so,
I do,
and I know you like, I don't know if you like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., but you like to get smart. So
yep,
yeah. So I would try it for that, and just you don't have to ignore that it's like Gotham continuity, which doesn't seem to matter. It's really just aesthetically like, oh, everything's ornate and it's got this golden sheen to it. That's about where the continuity seems to end.
Okay.
And the fact that Alfred is in it and Thomas Wayne, it's really nothing much besides that.
Okay. Any clear ties, like continuity wise, to Gotham, like to the show itself?
Nope.
Anything? No. Nothing that
Nope.
would indicate.
Nothing.
But they've said that it's in the same that it's in the same universe.
They said it at Comic-Con just a few weeks before it announced, and I wonder if that was more just to be like, "Hey, Gotham fans, so I know we know you'll miss the show, so watch Pennyworth." I think that's what that felt like more, because it's not been marketed as a prequel to Gotham in any way.
Got it.
It's just Pennyworth. Here's the show about Alfred, and honestly, was not looking forward to this. This was not like I was jazzed about watching Pennyworth. I was like, all right, how far can we actually stretch
Yeah, that's been my general feeling too. And honestly, the trailer didn't help me, but maybe they're just marketing it kind of poorly.
I think it's a bit of that, but honestly, if it continues upward in the scale that it is, I would say that, like people who are skeptical about watching Krypton because you're like, who cares about Superman's grandfather? Put it in that hat.
Yep. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
if you can watch a show about Superman's grandfather, that ultimately doesn't really matter in the case of watching a Superman show, but you can watch like his grandfather or his great grandfather do these little things. You're like, oh, that's very Superman of you.
Okay.
It's basically what you're watching here, but you're watching the Batman version of it.
Okay. That's actually a very fair point. Once you put it that way, it's like, yeah, it's actually kind of the same idea. So if one is good, why can't the other be good?
That's right. I knew I didn't really have you on any of it, and I was like, gotta put it in Frank's wheelhouse. How do I do that?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say you didn't have me. The fact that it's what you're describing, the show you're describing, sounds very different than what I've seen in any kind of promotional material. Already kind of had me interested. And especially if the first couple episodes are up there for free, why not check it out? And The Boys, interestingly, I feel like The Boys won't be for me, but I am interested about the social commentary stuff that you mentioned. That does sound interesting to me. So I do think I'll give that an episode. I'll give them both an episode. I think I will give them both an episode and see where we net out.
Yeah,
and if either one of them sticks, then I'll provide an update here.
I mean, The Boys has Carl Urban and Simon Pegg in it, so you've got a bit of a Star Trek reunion going on.
That's cool.
So at least got that going for you. I feel that you're right. I think the kind of the more visceral side of The Boys is not for you. It's definitely like a don't put it on when people who might be offended are watching.
Sure.
Kind of thing. Like it's kind of like a with your headphones in your headphones on your iPad kind of show if you live with a family. But it's well made. It's real well made. And so I don't know. So to each his own, but I leave it to you. You will please let me know if you actually get to one of them.
I will.
Would love to hear it.
I absolutely will.
Which means that next time you have to hit me with your best shot on
yes.
something, probably maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean there's actually a couple of things that we could cover. I've got a couple of ideas.
Ooh,
so
fancy.
I will leave it at that for now. But
okay.
But thanks to everyone for listening. You can find Beer with Geeks at beerwithgeeks.com, at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com, at Beer with Geeks on Twitter. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher and Spotify and Google and Overcast. Everywhere that you can find podcasts, you'll find this one. ThoughtBubbleAudio.com is your destination for all the shows in our network. And you can, of course, support us on Patreon, which means a whole lot to us, and help us keep the lights on, help us keep making these shows, and support us in all the costs that are involved there over at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. And you can give whatever. You can give whatever you are able to give. As little as $1 a month is fantastic for us. And you'll get early episodes of Beer with Geeks before they come out to the general public. You'll get early episodes of other shows like Academy Rewind. I think we're going to start putting Read Up episodes there before they're released elsewhere.
Yeah, man. Read up. Learn about some books.
And stuff.
Intellectually and whatever. They're not long.
No.
I think my longest one is the first episode. And then after that, they kind of scroll back to about 2 to 5 minutes apiece.
They're quick hits.
Five is pushing it.
If you enjoyed listening to Tim like today describe these shows and sort of pick them apart a little bit, that's like nothing on what he does with literature. He's truly like you get to hear like college level analysis of some classic literature and some offbeat stuff too. So I really have been enjoying what you've been doing with Read Up.
Thank you. Actually, honestly, it depends on the book because sometimes there is nothing to pull apart, and those end up being the shortest ones.
Sure.
And so, but thank you. That's very kind. That's very kind of you.
I mean,
I only use the good words for you, Frank.
Only the good words.
Only the good ones.
Fantastic.
Great. All right. Well, Frank, then until next time. Cheers.